Today's Scholastic News article is called Frozen in Time. If we look at the front cover of the Scholastic News, you can see that there is snow, there is ice, looks like we see some water. And does anybody have any idea of what this might be? If you're not sure, the caption says, "This may look like a frozen palace, but it's a lighthouse covered in ice. Wild winter weather makes some lighthouses look like ice castles." So right here, this is a lighthouse that is frozen. We are going to look at the vocabulary words that we're going to see in today's article. The first word is spray. Spray is flying drops of liquid. Like water being blown by the wind, spray splashes on this lighthouse. So this is what a lighthouse looks like when it's not frozen. So spray is just the flying drops of liquid or water being blown by the wind. Frigid. Frigid means very cold. Surface. The outer or top layer of something. Water freezes on the surface of this lighthouse. So the outer or top layer of something. So you can see the surface of this lighthouse has ice frozen to it. Blizzard. A very big snowstorm with strong winds. A lot of snow can fall during a blizzard. Roads and cars can get buried in snow. So a very big snowstorm. Sleet. Tiny balls of ice that fall from the sky. And if you look at the picture here, you can see these tiny little balls of ice. Freezing rain. Freezing rain is liquid that falls from the sky. It turns to ice as soon as it hits a cold surface. Freezing rain. Wind chill. Wind chill happens when a strong wind blows on a cold day. The wind chill can make the weather feel even colder. So it's very strong winds on a cold day, so it makes it feel even colder outside. So those are some of the vocabulary words that we're going to be seeing today. So as we're reading, I want you guys to be thinking about the different things winter weather can do. From spray to ice. For most of the year, this lighthouse is red, but in the winter it turns bright white. The lighthouse sits on the shore of Lake Michigan. All year, the wind blows on the lake. It sends drops of water called spray into the air. When the water is warm, the spray splashes on the lighthouse and drips back into the lake. In the winter, the air is frigid. The lighthouse is very cold too. The wind still blows the spray into the air, but now the spray freezes on the cold surface of the lighthouse. The surface is the outer layer of the lighthouse. Slowly, many layers of ice build up on the lighthouse. Some of the ice melts. The water drips down and freezes again. That makes spiky icicles on the lighthouse. The lighthouse won't look like an ice castle forever. When the weather gets warm, the ice melts. The lighthouse is bright red again. So what happens to the spray in the warm weather? What does the spray do in the warm weather when it hits the lighthouse? So in the warm weather, when the spray happens, it splashes the lighthouse and it actually just drips right back into the lake. And we know in the frigid or cold winter, when the spray hits the surface, it begins to stick to the surface and it freezes. So if we take a look at the picture over here, it says spray splashes on the lighthouse in the warm weather. So we can see this is the lighthouse and the wind is blowing the water on to the lighthouse and it just goes right back into the water. And then this picture here, we see that in the winter, the air is frigid and it causes it to freeze. So wild winter weather. What can other kinds of winter weather do? So here in Michigan, we have a pretty wild winter weather, I would say. We see a lot of different types of weather, especially in the winter. So in the red box, we see a picture and it says a blizzard is a big snowstorm with strong winds. It can blanket the snow, it can blanket the ground with many feet of snow. So the blizzard is a big snowstorm with strong winds, and we get a lot of snow when we have a blizzard. In the green box, it says, in the winter, tiny balls of ice called sleet fall from the sky. Sleet can make roads slippery and dangerous to drive on. So tiny balls of ice is called sleet. The purple box says freezing rain. Freezing rain is liquid that falls from the sky. It turns to ice as soon as it hits a cold surface. It can cover the ground, roads, and branches. I know just this past weekend in Wyandotte, we had some freezing rain, and it might have been freezing rain in your area as well. But that is an example of freezing rain. In the orange box, it says, sometimes when a strong wind blows, the day feels extra cold. We call that wind chill. Wind chill can make a cold day feel even colder. So looking at those different types of weather, we said blizzard, sleet, freezing rain, and wind chill. There are two that they specifically mentioned having strong winds. Which two of these four types of weather need strong winds? So it would be blizzard, because it is a snowstorm with strong winds, and wind chill, because it is when a strong wind blows and it makes a day feel extra cold. The other two types of weather we talked about were sleet and freezing rain. So the difference between sleet and freezing rain is sleet, when sleet is coming down, it's tiny balls of ice. So it's already frozen. And freezing rain is liquid that falls from the sky and it turns to ice when it hits the cold surface. So freezing rain is rain until it hits the ground and then it freezes. And sleet, it's already coming down frozen. So that's the difference between sleet and frozen rain. So the next slide is going to be where is the weather wild? So you guys are going to be doing this as part of the activity. There is a map of the United States and it has all the different states and it has a map key. So the purple one is snow, the gray one is sleet, the blue one is cold wind, and the green one is warm wind. So I'm going to ask you guys a few separate questions, and you're going to need to find the states that have the different types of weather. And I'm going to explain that on the next slide.